Brian Schiff. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the National Association of Flight Instructors. Welcome to this edition of the NAFI 10-Question Challenge, the online video series where we ask successful flight instructors 10 questions and find out how their experience as flight instructors has contributed to their personal and professional successes. Today, our guest is none other than my own father, Barry Schiff. John Niehaus was going to host this one, but I thought it would be fun to interview my own father. His accomplishments include, and this is in addition to breeding and raising an upstanding member of the aviation community, being a notable aviation author, speaker, world record holder, yada, yada, yada. Welcome, Dad. How you doing?
Well, son, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. Don't you have like all the CFI ratings?
Yeah, I do. All of the ones you can get.
Yeah, and
there's jet lift, which I do not have.
Howard, yeah, and you've been teaching for as long as I've been alive, 65 years or so.
Exactly.
Wow. So you've probably learned more than most of us have forgotten. All right. Well, let's dive into
there's always more to learn.
There's always more to learn. That's what we love about this, I think, is we're never going to know it all. So much more. All right. Well, let's dive into the 10 questions. Was flight instructing part of your original career plan, or was it something you never anticipated doing?
Oh, no, I never anticipated it. I was a line boy at Santa Monica Airport at the age of 17, you know, moving airplanes around the line, refueling them and the like. And I had just gotten my private pilot's license, and I was making $1 an hour as a line boy, and I knew I could make $6 an hour as a flight instructor. And that was the incentive, because I was headed for college and I needed all the money I could get. So that was my reason for becoming a flight instructor.
So it was pay base.
Big bucks, yeah.
Got it. So reflecting on your instructor skill with your first student, the very first student, how well do you think you did with that first student?
It's hard to know. That was 65 years ago, as we've just mentioned. So I don't know how well I did or didn't do. I know that I worked hard at it because he was my first student, and I was a kid and he was a man. And I knew that I had to work very hard to get him to be a pilot. And it worked out okay. He turned out to be a decent private pilot. So I guess I did okay. I really don't know.
Did he ever crash?
Not as far as I know. I'm not sure he's even alive. He was, in his mid-40s when I was 18 and instructing. So he's likely not around now.
Got it. So most of us have had an instructor mentor who helped learn the ropes. Who was yours, and what was the most meaningful thing that they taught you?
Oh, my mentor was Paul Blackman. He was a World War II pilot who checked me out in his Navion so that I could become a pilot for the Acme Meatpacking Company when I was 18 years old. And man, I'll tell you, that was a thrill. But when he checked me out, he asked me, for example, to hold 7,500 feet of altitude, and I was holding 74. And after a while, he kind of jabbed me with his elbow and he said, you know something, I'll bet you can hold 7,500 feet just as well as you're holding 74. Now get with it. And I never forgot that.
No, and I happen to know for a fact that you continued to teach that, because I remember you doing the same thing with me. If you can hold 3,450 feet, you can hold 3,500 feet. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's right. So I guess striving for perfection, even though you may not attain it, striving for it is a good thing.
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the most valuable non-aviation skill that you have learned from being a flight instructor?
I would say patience. I think that was the most important thing I had to learn, patience, because my students they didn't always do what I wanted them to do. And I had to patiently teach them what I needed for them to do. Patience, yeah, of all things.
Did you learn that before or after you taught me how to fly?
You put it to the test.
Probably during.
Let's put it that way.
That's why I did that. What do you enjoy most about flight instructing?
Well, I really enjoy watching someone who is not a pilot and knows nothing about aviation develop into a pilot that we can be proud of. I really enjoyed the evolution of a student into a full-blown pilot. I really like that. It was very gratifying.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the same thing, watching turning a passenger into a pilot and transferring the responsibility, the outcome of the flight from the right seat to the left seat, and watching that. I enjoyed the same thing. So what is your most scary or interesting, fun, instructional story that you have with a student? If you can narrow it down to one.
Scary, you mean other than flying with you?
Well, other than that, yeah.
Actually, there was a pretty scary event. I was, again, an 18-year-old instructor at Santa Monica, and an airline pilot came by our school and wanted to get checked out in an air coupe that we had on the line. And I didn't realize it, but this airline pilot had never before flown a light airplane. I found out, though, when we went for our first flight. I let him make the takeoff, and I asked him to rotate the nose at the appropriate speed. And all of a sudden, the nose didn't go up, it went way up. This guy rotated the air coupe as if it were a 707, and you don't pull the nose up that high. And we were about to stall, and I was able to push the nose back down again, thankfully, in time. But that was very, very frightening. I had no idea what to expect, and it taught me not to take things for granted.
Yeah, and always be ready. You just never know what the students are going to do.
Yeah, well, I figured an airline captain, my God,
I think if I were going to reflect on scary, interesting, fun, and I thought you were going to say this, is watching your own son solo.
Well, no, that was a source of pride.
Yeah,
that was pride. That wasn't frightening.
And maybe that's
if I for 1 minute were going to be frightened to let you go alone, I wouldn't let you go.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so in your mind, what quality or skill makes for an exceptional flight instructor? And there are probably many, but what would you narrow it down to?
Yeah, there are many. I guess I would say adaptability. I think a good instructor has to adapt to his students. That would be, I think, one of the most important qualities.
I agree with that. What aspect of flight instructing?
You have a choice?
No, I have to agree with you. Grew up learning how to do that. Not to your face, at least. What aspect of flight instructing best prepared you for what you're doing now, or what you retired from, if you'd rather answer it that way?
Well, yeah, as an airline captain, as you know, as most people know, I guess, I flew for TWA for 34 years. And instructing helped me to become a better captain, because it helped me to instruct my co-pilots, who obviously are getting ready to be captains themselves. And I think I prided myself in being a good captain because I was a good instructor as an airline captain. And of course, as a writer, an aviation writer, you have to instruct, but in a different way. You write things and you hopefully instruct in a manner that people can understand when they read what you have to say. And so I found that being an instructor helped me be a better captain and a better writer.
It makes sense. And if memory serves, you got into writing by writing topics for your students to help them understand certain topics. Isn't that right?
No, that's correct. A long, long time ago. Long time ago.
How did you utilize your time as a flight instructor to transition into what you did professionally, or what you professionally do now?
Well, the way I became a better pilot, which is what I like to think I do better now, and a better writer, was I was constantly studying. There was not an aviation book around that I didn't read. I was a voracious reader, trying to absorb and soak up all I could learn, so that hopefully when somebody asked me a question, I could answer it.
Yeah, that makes me think. And I remember doing the same thing, reading all these books, but now there's just so much to read online and it's unvetted, whereas a published book was vetted and you got it, it seemed like more authoritative, but now you can go online and find all kinds of articles and blogs and things written by anybody, totally unvetted. And I think student pilots, all pilots need to be careful about what they read.
You don't know what to believe these days. It's so true.
Right, right. So finally, if you could give a new instructor, and there are a lot of new instructors nowadays, one piece of advice for success in the profession as a flight instructor, what would it be?
I think one of the most important things for a flight instructor is not to fake it. A student is going to ask you a lot of questions as he learns to fly, and he'll ask things you may not know. Don't fake it. When he asks you a question and you don't know the answer, be honest and say, you know, I really don't know, but I'll find out for you and I'll let you know tomorrow or the next day or whenever the lesson's going to be. But you'll gain more respect that way, and you'll make him a safer pilot.
Yeah, and I think it also lends to your credibility if you do that, because it makes the student understand that you're not giving answers off the cuff, that if you say, I don't know, I'm going to look it up and get back to you, then they know they're going to get a correct answer.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's great. Thank you very much for joining us and answering the 10 questions on NAFI's 10 question challenge. We'll look for you on something in the future.
You take care.
All right. You too. Talk to you later. I'll see you for dinner.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.